Some people ask us, who's the product designer? We just say anyone. No idea is a silly idea, and some of the best ideas have come from someone on the factory floor. When we first started selling our own branded product, it was some of the feedback we got from installers quite quickly was, this is the best edging we've ever seen.
What is the vision for Accent? What is that vision that's come from the family and from the team?
We like to exceed people's expectations, but the only way to do that is through teamwork. So that's really what we've managed to distill down as our passion for the business, is exceeding expectations through teamwork. Do we do it? Exceed expectations? Not every time, but that's where we want to be, so that customers are happy, suppliers are happy with us, the staff are happy, everyone has a good experience however they interact with Accent.
Do you set quite high expectations for yourself internally? Like, is it okay to fail because you are setting these very high standards?
Yeah, we don't mind if you fail. I guess we get really annoyed with ourselves if we fail multiple times on the same problem. But Dad's, I guess, another thing is he's always told us that he would give you a rope to try something. Next time you see something similar arising, you've got the opportunity to teach. And by teaching, I guess you learn yourself as well. So it becomes win-win for everyone. Dad has been referred to as the hawk's eye by the guys on the floor, so they know that he's got an eye for detail.
If we were to be walking through the factory, what are some of the things that your dad, Chris, would pick up, or maybe you would pick up that no one else would see, even someone maybe working on it?
The edging, the detail to the edging on the product. So this one here's it's just got a sanded edge. When we first started selling our own branded product, it was some of the feedback we got from installers quite quickly was, this is the best edging we've ever seen, which to us was just normal. But I guess the detail to how the corners finished nice and round, smooth, it's just the finishing touch that makes a difference to whether your product's A1 or B.
What would be an example for the start to finish process when you're making one of these furniture systems? I mean, how complex does it get?
Relatively complex. For instance, our Grid 40 product there with the aluminium frames, well, we've set standards in place for that, of what the product is. Designing it, I mean, there's a lot of things to think about. And because, hey, we're based in Wellsford, so what doesn't come naturally to us thinking about is earthquake zones. So when you start selling that product to someone in Wellington, someone in Christchurch, it might be a question that pops up. How's the product put together? What's all the details? And what we're wanting to do is actually get the detail of the products right before it goes to the plant. Some people ask us, who's the product designer? We just say anyone, because no idea is a silly idea. And some of the best ideas, even in the last couple of weeks, have come from someone on the factory floor. You're looking at a product and you're looking at a picture and they say, well, that's pretty easy, you just do this. And so everyone's involved in product development, and I guess a bit of the KIWI mentality, number 8 why, how can you do it? Keep it simple.
You've hit on something really interesting in that it's actually quite hard to make something simple. It's complex, it's difficult, because it requires you to go through all those other steps where it's unnecessarily complex, or it's got more pieces than it needs, or refining back to the minimum but not too far. You're talking about the product designer. There's no one particular product designer. It takes 99 bad ideas to surface the one excellent idea sometimes, and having a space where you can have those ideas freely means you're more likely to get that 100th idea.
Yeah.
And in terms of your office here, it's all fitted out by Accent. So how do you, when you're working with or through resellers, who comes up with the end design that you then have to manufacture the components for? Is that in partnership, or is that sometimes all with the reseller and they just provide you an equipment list?
Depending on how the reseller's working, if it's architect design and spec, we'd just work off that. If we were helping one of our resellers to fit out their office, and we would often do a floor plan for them, put the furniture in, provide them floor plans, 3D visualisation so the customer can see what they're going to get, and that could be include their branding and logos in it to give them that personalised feel so they can see what they're going to get before it arrives.
Well, thank you very much for your time today. I appreciate our chat and for you being so honest with sharing the Accent story and talking about the furniture designs. I think there's a lot to be learned there for a reseller from what you've said today, Ronnie, and I think you should be very proud of the business that you're contributing to and a part of.
It's a great team we've got, and it's the only way you can do it.
Okay, so 1997, making furniture for offices or furniture for residential. What were the first pieces you were making back then?
We bought a little planter box business for garden planters, made out of tannalised timber, mainly to keep my young family off the street. We made a lot of toy trucks, which we only kept that for another year or two as we morphed into doing office furniture again.
So the planter boxes, the wooden toys, that gave you products that you could sell for cash that then, did you want to go to that next level initially of getting into office furniture, or was it more around just building products out of timber?
Well, my intentions when I left my previous employ, which had been making office furniture, I'd worked for 21 years for a very good employer. It was time for a change, and I had that planter box business, and my focus was to be on making outdoor products, even outdoor furniture. But we found a demand for office furniture outside of what I was doing with my previous boss. I couldn't go taking his work away, and we grew from that.
What type of office spaces were around there? Were these the skyscrapers in Wellington and Auckland getting built, or were they retrofitting existing offices that were single level?
Both. We did a job for the reception area of Merrill Lynch, I think, on the 39th floor of the ASB building. It's one of the first jobs I did on my own. Stainless steel and veneer and glass and very high-end product in it. L'Oreal did a massive boardroom table for them, 6.5 metres long, with veneers, big solid timber clashings, all that type of product.
Did you ever consider moving it overseas?
No, never. The reason we ended up in Wellsford was we were in Aotearoa. Our business spread over 6 buildings on 3 different sites. Prior to our move here, some years earlier, we'd bought a 17-acre block of land in Aotearoa, which had a nice plateau on it. It would have been good for a building of new factory. And we went through the process of getting consent to build a factory on that. And it got to the point where we got cold feet about investing in a place, small town, Aotearoa, with...
So would it have tied up your working capital?
Would have tied up working capital. It was a great 17 acres for the boys to try out their 4-wheel drives on, etc., and they had a lot of fun on it. So did I. But reality hits the ground at some point, and we decided the landlord that owns this building was going to build for us in Aotearoa also, and we backed out of that. This building was sitting there empty because a New Zealand manufacturer sold out to an overseas company, and then they took all the manufacturing offshore, putting 450 people out of work in this area.
Which is a lot for Wellsford.
That's huge.
What then happened to those people in Wellsford?
A lot of people left the district, but we've actually had the privilege of employing some of those people here in latter years as part of our team, which is quite neat. We often have sales reps calling here that have shifted jobs, and that's how we used to call here many years ago. But that's actually the neat thing about it is some of those people that did work here have had jobs here as well.
So a completely different company in exactly the same location, and had the right attitude, and you've taken them on to work within what you're making rather than the previous company that went offshore.
Yeah, exactly.
So on a day-to-day basis now, Chris, you're obviously not on the tools in the manufacturing side. Do you ever miss it? Do you ever go down there and think, actually, I want to get back on it? That looks really interesting.
Oh, obviously I'd love to be able to do it all, but I wouldn't. The machinery we have down there now, I wouldn't even know how to turn it on. I wouldn't know how to program it up here first. So when that first happened, I felt in quite a big vacuum because I couldn't go and do something that I wanted to do to build for my own house or whatever. I have to get someone else to do it. So that bit is probably a little bit frustrating, but I don't mind it at all now. I'd much rather get someone else that's familiar with it, can do it a lot faster than me because they know what they're doing.
And then outside of work, do you still do the cabinet making by hand? Have you got some hobbies that keep you on the tools, or is that something now that you've left behind?
I still enjoy working with timber and stuff, and I do a lot of projects around the place, charity projects, go and help my sons on their houses or whatever they're doing.
Well, I wish you all the best for 2021 and beyond, and good luck with those targets and getting things implemented into buildings that maybe couldn't have been last year, that are now open and available to get your beautiful looking furniture and workplace systems into.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of a KIWI Original. If you like what you saw, then hit the subscribe button and you'll get other episodes just like this one in your inbox. Make sure you hit the bell too for notifications, and you'll be served up uniquely Kiwi stories like this one contributing to New Zealand's future.